Ladies and gentlemen, in a world full of noise, distractions, and constant comparisons, one of the most powerful things you can ever do for yourself is to focus inward and stay silent. Most people waste their energy chasing validation, arguing with critics, or trying to prove their worth to those who don't even care. But life begins to transform when you stop explaining yourself to everyone, when you stop chasing the opinions of others, and when you quietly direct all that energy toward your own growth. Silence is not weakness. Silence is strength. It is the space where clarity is born, where vision becomes sharper, and where focus is refined. When you stop speaking about every plan, every dream, and every move you're making, you remove the unnecessary pressure of outside voices. People may doubt you, underestimate you, or even laugh at you, but silence gives you the power to surprise them with results instead of empty words. Focusing on yourself doesn't mean being selfish. It means understanding that your greatest responsibility is your own growth. Too often, we are caught up in comparing our journey to others. Who's ahead, who's doing better, who's getting recognized. But comparison is the thief of joy. When you channel that same energy into improving your skills, your discipline, and your mindset, you begin to separate yourself from the noise. Suddenly, opportunities appear. Progress becomes visible. And the very people who once doubted you start asking how you did it. The truth is, you don't have to announce your grind. You don't have to broadcast every step. Your success will speak louder than your words ever could. The world pays attention when results show up, not when excuses or promises are made. That's why the greatest transformations happen in silence. The seed grows underground before the world sees the tree. The caterpillar transforms in the cocoon before it becomes a butterfly. And you too must embrace that silent season of growth. Focus on your health. Focus on your mind. Focus on your habits. Focus on building discipline, learn in silence, work in silence, and heal in silence. Don't waste time proving people wrong. Spend time proving yourself right. Because when you focus on yourself, you begin to glow differently. Your energy shifts. Your presence becomes stronger. People feel it without you ever having to say a word. So stay silent, not because you are weak, but because you are wise enough to know that real power is built quietly. Stay silent because your energy belongs in action, not in argument. And stay silent because the most beautiful revenge against doubt, negativity, and criticism is undeniable success. Silence protects your energy in a world that constantly demands your attention and input because every conversation, every explanation, and every argument takes something from you. Words are powerful, but they can also be draining when they are wasted on people who do not understand your vision or respect your journey. When you choose silence, you choose to conserve that energy, redirecting it toward growth, self-improvement, and meaningful action. Every time you share your dreams prematurely or announce your plans to the wrong audience, you open yourself to criticism, doubt, and negativity that can weaken your resolve. Silence acts like a shield, keeping your vision safe from outside interference while giving you the clarity and strength to stay focused on your path. In silence, you create space to think, to breathe, and to reflect. The absence of noise allows your mind to process without distraction, which is where breakthroughs and insights are born. Many people overlook the value of quiet because they feel the need to always defend, explain, or prove themselves, but that constant outward energy leaves little room for inward focus. Protecting your energy means learning when to speak and when to stay still, when to share and when to keep things to yourself. Silence teaches you patience, and patience is what allows you to nurture your growth in peace without rushing to show results before they are ready. Silence also protects your energy by shielding you from unnecessary battles. Not every comment requires a response. Not every provocation deserves your attention, and not every argument is worth entering. Engaging in every conflict drains you emotionally and mentally, leaving less energy for what truly matters. When you remain silent, you deny others the power to pull you into their chaos. You rise above the noise, maintaining your composure and saving your strength for challenges that genuinely deserve your focus. This quiet restraint is not weakness, but wisdom, because it takes more strength to hold back than it does to react impulsively. Another way silence protects your energy is by reducing the pressure of external validation. The moment you announce a plan, you invite expectations, and with those expectations comes pressure to deliver on a timeline that may not align with your journey. That pressure can be heavy and distracting, pushing you to perform for others instead of growing for yourself. When you remain silent, you free yourself from that weight. Your progress becomes personal, your motivation becomes internal, and your results arrive without the noise of outside timelines or judgments. Protecting your energy means keeping your journey sacred until it is strong enough to stand in the open on its own. Silence also limits the influence of envy, jealousy, and negativity. Not everyone who hears your goals wants you to succeed, and some may actively try to discourage you. When you share less, you expose less, and by exposing less, you give others fewer opportunities to interfere. Protecting your energy is not about being secretive out of fear, but about being intentional with what you reveal and when you reveal it. The less others know, the more space you have to focus on building quietly without unnecessary resistance. Perhaps the most important way silence protects your energy is by keeping your focus where it belongs, on action. Talking about plans can create a false sense of accomplishment, tricking the mind into believing progress has been made when it has not. Silence prevents that trap. It forces you to replace talk with action, dreams with effort, and intentions with results. Every ounce of energy that would have been spent on explaining is instead spent on executing, and that shift in focus creates real momentum. When you protect your energy with silence, you also begin to notice how much stronger and calmer you feel. The noise of the world no longer dictates your emotions or decisions. You are not swayed by every opinion, nor exhausted by constant defense. Instead, you are grounded, centered, and purposeful. That stillness gives you the endurance to keep moving forward without burning out. In protecting your energy, you create the space and strength needed to grow into the person you are meant to become, unbothered by distractions and unstoppable in your pursuit. When you stop comparing yourself to others and direct your energy inward, your personal growth accelerates because comparison drains your spirit and scatters your focus. The moment you measure yourself against another person, you lose sight of your own path, your own strengths, and your own progress. Everyone's journey is different, shaped by unique circumstances, choices, and timing. So using someone else's timeline as a measure for your own only creates frustration. When you free yourself from that cycle and turn your attention inward, you begin to see clearly what you need to work on, where you are improving, and how far you have already come. That awareness is the fuel that speeds up your growth because now your energy is being directed toward what you can control rather than wasted on what you cannot. Growth becomes faster when your only competition is the person you were yesterday. Instead of feeling defeated by someone else's success, you start focusing on your own small wins, and those small wins stack up day by day. You run your own race at your own pace, and with each step forward, you build momentum. The beauty of inward focus is that progress compounds quietly until one day you look back and realize how far you've come. Comparison creates envy and impatience, but inward focus creates discipline and consistency. By choosing to measure yourself only against your past self, you anchor your growth in a standard that is realistic, sustainable, and empowering. Directing your energy inward also allows you to confront your weaknesses honestly without shame. When you are distracted by others, you may either ignore your flaws to keep up appearances or become overly critical because you feel like you don't measure up. Both reactions hold you back. But when you center on your own path, self-awareness becomes a tool for growth rather than punishment. You can see where you fall short and take steps to improve without worrying about who is watching. This creates a safe space for personal development where failure is not a verdict, but a stepping stone. By working on your weaknesses in silence, you build strength that others won't see until it becomes undeniable. Focusing inward also makes your learning more intentional. Instead of imitating what others are doing, you pay attention to what truly works for you. You stop copying routines that do not fit your lifestyle and start designing habits that align with your own values and goals. This personalized approach accelerates growth because it is authentic and sustainable. You are no longer pulled in multiple directions by outside influences. Your energy flows into a single direction, and that concentrated effort produces results faster than scattered attempts ever could. What you build this way has deeper roots because it comes from understanding yourself, not from trying to mirror someone else's highlight reel. Another powerful effect of focusing inward is the discipline it creates. When your motivation is tied to external validation, it fades quickly whenever recognition is absent. But when your drive comes from within, it becomes steady and resilient. You show up for yourself even when nobody notices, and that consistency transforms your habits into identity. Over time, the things you once had to force yourself to do become second nature because you are no longer doing them to impress others, but because they are part of who you are becoming. This kind of discipline accelerates growth because it is not tied to fleeting moods or outside applause. It is rooted in commitment to your own vision. Emotional freedom is another gift that comes from focusing inward. Constant comparison breeds frustration, jealousy, and anxiety, emotions that consume mental energy and slow you down. By choosing to look inward, you replace those emotions with peace. Peace gives you clarity, and clarity helps you make better decisions about where to invest your time and effort. Instead of feeling behind, you begin to feel grateful for your own journey. Gratitude fuels patience, and patience allows you to keep moving forward without rushing or panicking. This calm determination makes your growth more stable and more lasting. When you stop comparing and focus solely on yourself, you allow growth to become exponential. Steady improvements build momentum, and that momentum creates acceleration. You are no longer trapped in the race of who is ahead or behind, because the only person you are competing with is the person you used to be. Every step forward counts, and every bit of progress builds on the last. The energy that once leaked out through comparison now flows fully into your own development, and that shift makes all the difference. The moment you stop looking sideways and start looking inward is the moment your growth begins to multiply beyond what you thought was possible. Success becomes more powerful when it is shown through results rather than spoken through words, because words are fragile, temporary, and often forgotten, while results are undeniable and leave a lasting mark. Many people talk about what they want to achieve, what they are planning to do, or how they will change their lives, but most never follow through. Talking can create a false sense of accomplishment. Tricking the mind into believing progress has been made simply because a plan has been shared. This illusion drains motivation and scatters energy, leaving little left for real action. When you choose to remain silent and focus on doing, you cut through that illusion and allow your work to speak louder than any promise ever could. The world may not remember what you said, but it will remember what you did. Actions build credibility in a way words never can. A person who talks about their dreams without results risks being dismissed, but a person who quietly executes earns respect without asking for it. Results cannot be argued with, and they carry a weight that demands recognition. When people see the evidence of your discipline, your effort, and your persistence, they are naturally drawn to it. You do not need to convince them of your abilities or justify your choices. Your results become proof of who you are and what you stand for. This credibility opens doors, builds trust, and attracts opportunities that empty words could never create. Letting your results speak also frees you from the burden of seeking validation. When you constantly talk about your plans, you unconsciously invite others' opinions, expectations, and judgments. Some may encourage you, but others may doubt you or dismiss you. Their reactions can either inflate your ego prematurely or discourage you before you have even begun. Both outcomes are distractions that pull you away from progress. By keeping silent and focusing on the work, you protect yourself from those external influences. Your energy remains intact, your motivation remains internal, and your drive is fueled by vision rather than applause. This independence makes you stronger because your progress is not tied to anyone else's response. Discipline is strengthened when you shift from words to results. Talking about goals is easy, but quietly working on them requires patience, consistency, and self-control. The discipline built through silent effort becomes part of your identity, shaping you into someone who values execution over expression. Each time you choose to act instead of talk, you reinforce that discipline, and over time it becomes second nature. The small, consistent choices add up to visible change, and that change becomes a reflection of the person you have become. In this way, results are not just achievements. They are evidence of the character you have built through silence and persistence. Results also create impact that words alone cannot. When people see transformation with their own eyes, it inspires them in ways that no speech could. They see proof that growth is possible, that discipline pays off, and that success is attainable. Your journey becomes a source of motivation, not because of what you said about it, but because of what you showed. This impact extends beyond you, creating ripples in the lives of others who draw strength from your example. The legacy you build through results carries far more influence than any explanation or promise. There is also a quiet confidence that grows when you let your results speak. Talking about success may give temporary satisfaction, but producing success builds lasting self-belief. Each result, no matter how small, reinforces your trust in your own abilities. That trust becomes the foundation for greater risks, bigger challenges, and bolder dreams. You no longer need constant reassurance because you have tangible evidence of what you are capable of achieving. This confidence is unshakable because it is rooted in reality, not in words or imagination. By choosing to let your actions define you, you also set yourself apart from the majority. Most people live in the comfort of talking without doing. So when you quietly achieve, you become the exception. The contrast between noise and silence, between words and results, makes your accomplishments stand out even more. You don't need to announce them because the transformation is visible and undeniable. Your results speak a language that everyone understands, and they speak it louder and clearer than you ever could with words. Inner peace grows when you choose silence because silence creates the space for reflection, healing, and clarity. In the constant noise of daily life, where everyone is rushing, speaking, and reacting, the mind rarely has a chance to settle. Silence interrupts that cycle by giving you a moment to step back from the chaos and listen to yourself. When you stop engaging with unnecessary arguments, gossip, or meaningless debates, you save yourself from the emotional storms that drain your strength. Instead of being pulled into the noise of other people's drama, you cultivate calm within your own world, and that calm becomes the foundation of peace. Peace is not simply the absence of conflict, it is the presence of clarity and control. Silence creates clarity because it allows you to process your thoughts without interruption. When you are always speaking or reacting, your mind becomes cluttered with outside influences, and it is difficult to know what you truly think or feel. In silence, you begin to hear your own voice more clearly. You understand your priorities, your values, and your desires without the distortion of other people's opinions. This clarity makes you less reactive to negativity because you are anchored in your own truth. Arguments lose their power when you no longer feel the need to respond to everything, and criticism loses its sting when you understand it does not define you. Choosing silence also protects your emotional energy. Every time you argue or defend yourself, you give away a part of your peace. Even when you win an argument, the energy spent cannot be regained. Silence allows you to walk away with your strength intact. This protection is not weakness, but wisdom, because you recognize that not every battle deserves your attention. Many conflicts exist only to provoke, and silence starves them of fuel. By refusing to engage, you deny negativity the chance to grow, and your peace remains unshaken. Over time, this practice becomes a habit, and you find yourself living in a state of calm, even when chaos surrounds you. Another way silence cultivates inner peace is through patience. When you are silent, you are not rushing to prove yourself or to react immediately. You learn to sit with your emotions, to breathe through frustration, and to observe situations before responding. This patience reduces regret because you are no longer making decisions in anger or haste. With silence, you create space between stimulus and response, and in that space lies wisdom. The more patient you become, the more peaceful your life feels because you no longer allow temporary emotions to dictate permanent consequences. Silence also nurtures gratitude. When you step back from constant conversation and distraction, you become more aware of the present moment. You begin to notice the small blessings, a quiet morning, the warmth of sunlight, the comfort of solitude. These details are often drowned out by noise, but silence brings them into focus. Gratitude naturally grows in silence, and gratitude is a key ingredient of peace. A grateful mind is not easily disturbed because it has already found contentment in what it has. By practicing silence, you give yourself the chance to see the richness of your life, which in turn deepens your sense of peace. Healing is another gift of silence. When you withdraw from unnecessary conflicts and choose stillness, your mind and heart have the chance to recover from past wounds. Words can often reopen old scars, but silence allows them to close. By not reliving pain through constant discussion or argument, you give yourself the space to let go and move forward. Silence becomes a form of self-care, a sanctuary where your spirit can rest and rebuild. The more you embrace silence, the more resilient you become because you carry within you a well of peace that cannot be disturbed by every passing storm. Silence also builds strength in your relationships. When you no longer feel the need to respond to every word or prove yourself in every conversation, you avoid unnecessary friction. You listen more, speak less, and respond only when it truly matters. This practice creates harmony as people begin to see you as calm, steady, and thoughtful. You stop contributing to conflict and instead bring balance into interactions. Relationships flourish when peace is prioritized, and silence is one of the most effective ways to bring that peace into your connections with others. In the end, silence is not emptiness, it is fullness. It is the fullness of peace, clarity, and strength that comes when you stop letting noise dictate your emotions. By staying silent, you preserve your energy, nurture your patience, deepen your gratitude, and allow healing to take root. Silence is a choice, and with that choice comes the gift of inner peace that no external chaos can take away. When you focus on yourself and remain silent, you naturally increase productivity because your attention is no longer scattered across unnecessary conversations, comparisons, or conflicts. Energy that was once wasted on explaining yourself, defending your actions, or worrying about what others think becomes available for meaningful work. Productivity is not just about working harder, it is about directing your time and energy into the tasks that truly matter. Silence gives you that focus, cutting away distractions, and allowing you to channel your strength into building something real. The less you talk about doing, the more time you spend actually doing, and this shift dramatically improves the results you achieve. Silence is a powerful time saver. Every conversation that doesn't serve your growth, every argument that leads nowhere, and every attempt to justify your path consumes minutes and hours that could have been invested in progress. By choosing silence, you free yourself from these drains and gain extra time to put into your goals. Even a few minutes saved daily accumulate into hours over the course of a week, and those hours compound into days and weeks over time. This compounding effect of silence transforms into momentum because consistent effort, however small, builds extraordinary results. What once felt impossible becomes achievable simply because you protected your time and invested it wisely. Productivity also rises when your mind is calm, and silence is the tool that brings calmness. Too much talking or constant noise overstimulates the brain, leaving it restless and unfocused. Silence, on the other hand, acts as a reset button. It reduces mental clutter, giving your brain the space to think clearly and prioritize effectively. A focused mind accomplishes more in an hour than a distracted mind does in an entire day. By stepping back from noise and choosing silence, you allow yourself to enter a deeper state of concentration where creativity flows and problem solving becomes natural. Another reason silence enhances productivity is because it removes the need for validation. When you talk about your goals too much, you begin to unconsciously depend on the reactions of others to fuel your motivation. If people respond positively, you may feel inspired temporarily, but if they doubt you or dismiss you, your energy drops. This constant fluctuation affects your productivity. Silence frees you from this cycle. With no need for validation, your motivation comes from within and it remains steady. You work consistently, whether others notice or not, because your drive is no longer tied to outside responses. That steady inner motivation is what sustains long-term productivity. Silence also teaches discipline, and discipline is the backbone of productivity. Talking about a plan requires little effort, but staying quiet and executing it requires patience and self-control. Each time you resist the urge to announce your goals, you strengthen your ability to stay disciplined. That discipline carries over into your daily habits, keeping you consistent even when motivation is low. Productivity does not depend on bursts of inspiration. It depends on small, repeated actions over time. Silence helps you build the discipline necessary to maintain those actions, and discipline turns effort into results. Focusing on yourself in silence also reduces unnecessary competition. When you constantly look at what others are doing, you may feel pressured to keep up, which leads to rushed and unfocused work. But when you turn inward and stay quiet, you concentrate only on your own pace. You begin to value progress over speed, quality over appearances. This mindset produces better results because your energy is directed toward doing things well instead of doing them quickly to impress others. By competing only with your past self, You create a sustainable rhythm of growth that fuels consistent productivity. Silence even improves decision making, which is essential for productivity. Talking too much or seeking too many opinions can lead to confusion and second guessing, delaying action. Silence, however, gives you the space to listen to your intuition and analyze situations clearly. With fewer voices clouding your judgment, you make quicker and more confident decisions, allowing you to act instead of overthinking. Every decision made in clarity moves you closer to your goals, and over time, these timely choices compound into significant achievements. In addition, silence creates an environment of focus that others begin to respect. When you are quietly productive, people notice your results even if you don't speak about them. They are less likely to waste your time with distractions because your silence communicates seriousness. Over time, you build a reputation for discipline and efficiency, which further protects your time and increases opportunities for growth. Your productivity becomes a reflection of your character, and it inspires others to value their time and energy as well. By eliminating distractions, strengthening discipline, sharpening focus, and protecting your time, silence transforms productivity from something sporadic into something steady. It shifts your life from being reactive to being intentional, where every action counts and every moment is used wisely. Growth often happens in silence because silence gives you the time, space, and focus required for transformation. When you're constantly talking about your plans or sharing every step of your journey, you lose valuable energy that could be used for progress. But when you remain quiet and concentrate on action, you create an environment where growth can happen naturally without interference. Just like a seed grows underground, hidden from the world until it is ready to bloom, personal growth thrives best in stillness. Silence provides the soil where discipline, resilience, and strength take root before they are visible to others. In silence, you are able to observe yourself without distraction. You notice your patterns, your strengths, and your weaknesses more clearly when you are not busy explaining yourself or comparing yourself to others. This self-awareness is the foundation of growth because you cannot change what you do not see. Silence helps you slow down and reflect, giving you insights that constant noise would drown out. Reflection is where lessons are learned, where mistakes turn into wisdom, and where clarity shapes the next step of the journey. Without that reflective space, growth becomes shallow and inconsistent. With silence, it becomes deep and lasting. Another way silence fuels growth is by teaching patience. Real change takes time, and in a world where everyone craves instant results, silence reminds you that growth is a gradual process. When you stay quiet about your progress, you resist the temptation of rushing just to impress others. You allow yourself to move at a natural pace, learning and improving along the way. Patience ensures that the growth you experience is not temporary but sustainable because it is built on steady effort rather than hurried shortcuts. Silence protects you from the pressure of external expectations, giving you the freedom to grow at the pace that is right for you. Silence also strengthens discipline. It is easy to talk about goals and dreams, but choosing to remain silent while working on them requires control. Each time you resist the urge to announce your progress, you practice self-discipline, and that discipline spills over into other areas of your life. Growth is the result of repeated actions, and those actions require consistency. By staying silent, you cultivate the habit of focusing on what truly matters, execution. This kind of disciplined focus accelerates growth because every ounce of energy is directed toward building instead of broadcasting. In silence, resilience is built. Challenges and setbacks are inevitable, but when you keep your struggles private, you give yourself the chance to endure without added pressure. Sharing difficulties too soon often invites pity, doubt, or unnecessary advice, which can weaken your resolve. Silence, on the other hand, forces you to rely on your own strength, and in doing so, you grow stronger. Each challenge faced in quiet perseverance becomes a lesson in resilience, making you more capable of handling bigger obstacles in the future. Growth requires resilience, and silence is the training ground where resilience is formed. Another powerful effect of silence on growth is the way it eliminates unnecessary noise. Opinions, judgments, and comparisons can easily cloud your vision, making you question your path. When you stay silent, you limit those external influences and keep your focus sharp. Growth requires clarity, and clarity cannot exist in the middle of constant noise. By filtering out distractions, silence ensures that your growth is guided by your own values and vision rather than by the expectations of others. This kind of authentic growth is more fulfilling because it comes from within, not from outside pressure. Silence also enhances productivity, and productivity is a major driver of growth. The time saved from arguments, explanations, and unnecessary conversations becomes available for practice, learning, and building. Growth happens when effort is consistent and silence creates the conditions for that consistency. Every hour protected by silence is an hour invested in your development. Over time, those hours accumulate into skills, knowledge, and habits that transform your life. Growth is not a sudden leap, but the result of thousands of small, quiet steps, and silence ensures that those steps are taken consistently. The beauty of growth in silence is that it often surprises people. While others are distracted by noise and appearances, you are building quietly. Then, when your growth finally becomes visible, it speaks louder than any words ever could. People may wonder how you changed so much, not realizing that the transformation was happening quietly all along. That element of surprise adds to the power of your growth, because it shows that you do not need constant validation or attention to evolve. You simply need focused patience and the discipline to stay silent while you work.